Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new Ringover webinar. So today we're going to talk about Ask Empower, which is a new feature that we have in Empower, our AI tool. So let me just show you something before we start. So just before we start, so a few more people can join us, I wanted to share with you our Ringover Academy page. So it's academy.ringover.com. So in this page, you're going to have access to training paths. So either you are a user, a supervisor, or an admin, it doesn't matter. You're going to find training paths so you can learn how to use the Ringover solution. So you just click and you can watch the videos and you have a little quiz at the end to validate your learning. Let me go back here. And I wanted to show you as well our support page. So it's support.ringover.com. Here you're going to find all of the useful articles on the Ringover solution, as well as our past webinars. So all of the webinars that we have done so far, you're going to find them here in your support page. Also, let me just show you something else. We have now Ringover GPT inside ChatGPT. So if you look for Ringover inside ChatGPT, you're going to find this option right here. So you can start a chat and you can ask any question such as, how do I buy a new number? So it's going to think for a while, and then it's going to give you an answer. And the reason why it's better for you to ask questions inside the Ringover GPT is that you're going to find a standard answer, a standard response with links to our support page. And those answers, those responses, they're based on our knowledge base. So it's not any answer that ChatGPT is giving you. It's an answer backed up by our knowledge base. So we advise you to ask all of your questions using the Ringover GPT inside ChatGPT. So let me just go back to my presentation. Okay, so let's start today's webinar. So welcome everyone again. My name is Marcos. I am part of the product advocacy team. I am today with Bruna, who's going to be answering all of your questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them using the questions tab. So let's move on with our presentation. So today we're going to talk about Ask Empower. Ask Empower is our new feature in Empower, which is our AI tool. So you know Empower already. It's our AI tool that analyzes all of your calls, all of your conversations, and give you insights, give you evaluations, give you summaries on your day-to-day calls. So inside Empower, we have a new feature now called Ask Empower, and we're going to see how this feature is a game changer on your day-to-day work life. So what is Ask Empower? So here we're talking about our conversational AI for your calls. So it's like a chat. It's a chat inside Empower, and you can ask all of the questions that you want to the AI. So it's basically an assistant that will go into your calls, go into your data in order to give you answers. So you ask anything, you send your question, and then the AI will give you a response, an answer. So this is how Ask Empower works. We're going to see in the demo where to find it and how to send all of your questions. Let's go to the next slide. So why is it different from other AI systems? For the Ask Empower, the difference is that the AI has already access to all of your conversations, because we're talking about your Empower account. Your Empower account is connected to your Ringover account. So we have access to your database. We have access to all of your conversations, all of your data. So we don't need to ask you to share the information because we already have access to the information. So the AI will basically do a deep dive in your conversations, and then the AI will be able to give you a very insightful answer because it's going to be backed up by your database. So there's no need to train the AI. It's a native context, so it already knows who spoke, when, and about what. And of course, full privacy, because we're using the Ringover's database to stock your data. So you don't need to share your information with an external tool, with an external AI, because Empower already knows all of your conversations, has access to all of your data. So let's go to the next slide. So how does it work? We advise you to really use the filters. So we're going to show you in the demo how to use the filters. So we advise you to really be specific in your question, in your request, so that the AI will be able to give you a really insightful answer. Be precise as well, so in your question, and also ask follow-up questions. So you can ask something and then do a follow-up question. So ask something again and then ask a third time in order to gain more, in order to really get the answer that you need from the AI. So let me just go to the next slide, which is the demo time. Just going to cut off my camera so you can see the full screen, and I'm going to show you my Empower environment. Okay, so here we have our test environment for Empower, and well, you know it already, it's your call logs. This is how Empower looks like. You have your analytics right here, the library. Let's remain in the call logs, and I wanna drag your attention to this icon right here. So I can basically drag and drop this icon. I can move it around and I can switch screens. And by switching screens, I can still have access to the icon. So the icon will remain here. It doesn't matter in which section of the website I am. So I can basically click here and I can start a new chat. So the icon will remain here every time. You can click whenever you want, and you can ask all of your questions. You can also click here in order to view the full conversation, so the whole window, so the entire conversation with the AI. Okay, so now that we are here, you have already some suggestions. So the AI, it's going to give you suggestions of requests that you can do. So you can see your agenda for today, the objections that are still unresolved, which calls are had unhappy or dissatisfied clients. So just by clicking here, I already have suggestions of requests that I can do, that I can send to the AI. But I can also come up with a whole new request, which can be generate a summary of my last call about pricing. And then I'm going to ask the AI to do that. So I don't need to specify, I don't need to share with the AI the file for the call or the transcript, because the AI already has access to this call. So I'm not losing any time by trying to find the exact file that I want the AI to examine, because the AI already has access to my account, right? They already have access to my data. So they're going to think for a while. If there's a call related to pricing, then the AI will generate a summary. If there's no call related to pricing, then the AI will also give me an answer saying that, well, maybe I should clarify or come up with a different question. So here I got an answer from the AI. So basically, Ask Empower did a research in my account. It found a call related to pricing. And then here you have a little summary about that specific call. So this is just a request that I came up with And of course, for your next request, we advise you to really use the filters. So in order to use the filters, basically type in at, and then you're going to have access to all of the filters. So you have agent, you have contact, account, call, group, so group of users, the flags, the call tags, and the moments, which are our automatic tags. So for instance, if I want to have a look at some agents calls, I can basically filter by agent, and then you need to choose which agent you are talking about. In my case, I'm looking for America. So that's it. So I'm filtering by America, and then I can ask something about this specific user. So I already did it right here. So for instance, if we take a look here, I filtered by this user, so by this agent, America. Help me prepare for my next call with America's client. Let's say America, she's on a sick leave. We were not ready to take America's topics. So basically, I'm asking the AI to help me to prepare to talk with America's client because, well, we didn't have the time she didn't have the time to pass over the topics before she went away. So here the AI is telling me this is a call. This is the duration of the call, the date, the outcome summary, so I can know what the call was about, what were the main client pain points, and then the suggested angle for the next call. So I need to be ready, for instance, to clarify how conferences and multi-device calls work. For the second call, I already have also a suggestion. So I need to be ready to answer questions about procedures. So based on this user, on this filter, the AI was able to tell me how to prepare for my next call. This is just one example of a use case that I can have. Another example is for, in this case, so I actually made my request. So I asked for a global report on my company, and then the guy was not sure. So he asked me to be more precise, to be more clear. So I came up with a second request. So I wanted something about call volume and answer rates. And then the AI was able to give me a table with the volume of calls for each agent, the answer rate, the average duration, and the average rating of the call. I can also click here to check the box. So in my next request, I'm going to be more precise about those three calls right here. So by checking the boxes, you are filtering your next request. Let's just scroll down. So it's also giving me a little report. So the global picture, I had 125 calls, 116 were answered. So I have 22% of answer rate. So this is the answer based on the request that I just did to the AI. So let me just go back here. So in this case, I'm also filtering by an agent. So I'm choosing this user right here, and I'm asking the AI what are the key feedbacks that the AI can give about this user. So this is the feedback that the AI found about this user. So the call quality is solid. The activity volume is very low. So the user had not that much calls for that specific period. So it was based on the last 3 months. Performance versus a team target. So this is the feedback that the AI was able to give me about this user based on my data. So based on the conversations that these user had with clients in the last month. So also in this case, I'm filtering by a moment. So by filter by a moment, I can click here. I can try to find moment, and then I can try to find any moment that I have, for instance, pricing. And then you can ask questions. In my case, I asked, so according to this automatic tag, so this tag right here, which means training, what were the last calls about? So the last calls related to this tag right here, training, they were about checking on how the person is doing, discussion about performance, general discussion, follow up with a request. And once again, I have a list of calls and I can filter for my next request by checking the boxes. Also, when you do something like this, the AI will suggest you. So for your next request, maybe you should filter by this user because this is the user that is related to this tag the most. Or maybe you should filter by this user because this user is also using this automatic tag. So for your next request, the AI will already suggest you to use some filters and not others. So based on your precedent request, the AI will tell you, well, maybe you should use this filter right here. So these are some use cases, but really you can ask, empower anything on your company. It can be maybe you did a call campaign, your clients, they were not responding very well. So you can ask, empower, well, what did we do wrong? What went wrong with this call campaign? Why are clients not answering well to the pitch that we came up with? So the AI can analyze your conversations and give you some insights on what you did well, what you did not do well, and what you should enhance for your next strategy so you can do better the next time. So really, you can ask anything. And let me just go back here to my presentation to give you some more use cases. So for instance, if you work in client support, you can have a client calling back about a complex issue that was already discussed with another agent. So the agent was in the phone with this client. They don't have a full view on the client's problem, so they don't want to ask the client to repeat everything. So they can basically ask Empower base. They can filter using the contact filter. So let me share this again. So if you use the filter, you can filter by a contact. So for instance, I'm going to look for the client that I'm talking to, or I can also filter by my colleague that was having a conversation with this client before me. And then I can ask the AI, what was the last conversations with this client about? How can I help this client? I'm on the line with this client. How can you help me? And then you're going to have a report on how you could be able to answer to these clients. So you're going to have a smooth handover without making the client repeat themselves. So let's go to the second use case for the HR, for the headhunters. Let's say you're talking to a candidate, they are using a technical language that you know a little bit because you're a headhunter, but you don't master, right? You're not a developer yourself, for instance, so you don't know how those things work in detail. And you just want to make sure that you know everything, all of the tools that the candidate was talking about, that you have the list of the tools. So you can also ask Empower after the call. So what, can you give me a list of all of the tools that the developer was talking about? And then you can verify afterwards if those tools are really the tools that you were looking for a specific job position. You can also ask the AI if, well, do you think, according to this job position right here, do you think that this candidate could be a good candidate for just this job position based on the technical knowledge that the candidate has? So you can also bring other information and then ask Empower based on this conversation, what do you think about this? So this is also something that could be useful for HR and headhunters. So let's go ahead with a manager. So a sales manager, they need to do a report, so a weekly report on all of the calls that the sales the team had in the last week. So maybe they had over 100 calls, over 500 calls. In any case, this is too much. So one person cannot listen to 500 calls in a week. So basically, you're gonna ask Empower to give you a report on a weekly basis about your calls that your team made in the last week. So the benefit here is to have a report that is going to go into the details that your team made in the last week and give you real data. So it's really based on your conversations. It's based on the work that your team did, and it's going to give you real insight on the previous week. So it's going to give you a report that is based on your own data. Okay, so let me just go back here to show you one last detail. So let's take this example. So the sales manager, they need to every week, they need to ask Empower to generate this report. So if you have some requests like this that are going to be recurrent, so you're going to be sending this request every week to Empower, you can basically save them as a template. So you're going to have access to the template, so the template of the request here, and then you can send them weekly to Empower. So for you to create your template, basically you need to come here to AI customization. So in the settings, AI customization, ask Empower, and then you can create your template. So in my case, I created this template right here. You can ask the AI to refine it. You can name it. You can assign the users that are going to be using this template, and then you can pin it. So by pinning it, they are going to be available in Ask Empower. So once again, I have the icon right here. I can click here. I can click here again, and then I have my template right here. I have all of the templates, and I have my templates that I just pinned. So if you have a request that you're going to be using every week or every month, you can basically create a template and you can save it so you can use it later. So this is Ask Empower. It's a very powerful tool that you can use by sending requests to the AI. The real advantage of this AI chat is that the AI already has access to your data, right? They already has access to your conversation, to your calls. So you don't need to share your information with an external tool. Everything remains in the Ringover environment. And then you can just ask questions about your activity, about your company, and the AI will be able to give you real insight based on your own information. So really, we recommend you to use this feature, try it. If you have a good answer, don't hesitate to give a feedback. So this is a good answer. If you think that an answer could be a better answer, you can also give a feedback right here, and then you can tell our team what the AI could have done better in this case. Just go back here. So if you don't have any questions, we're going to finish here the webinar. Thank you for coming and participating, and I'll see you soon, maybe in the next webinar. Thank you. Have a nice day.